Good morning. Good morning. Sorry I'm late. I actually thought I was on time. I don't know what happened. But good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Mad Scientist Monday. If you are new here, my name is Royce Hunt Bell, and I am the founder, owner, and operator of Roycycled Treasures. And we meet here every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time for our Mad Scientist Monday, which is all about experimentation, playing, and just seeing what happens. So I did not bring my phone out. Oh, Lord. I'm going to go get my phone. I'll be right back. Sorry, you guys. Good morning. Good morning, Professor Royce. Oh, my goodness. Are you guys lab rats or am I the lab rat? Sorry, let me. Okay, I'm on Do Not Disturb. Just making sure. So I was saying before I ran away, and no one was here anyways. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Mad Scientist Monday. If you are new here, my name is Royce Hunt Bell. I'm the founder, owner, and operator of Roycycled Treasures, and we meet here every Monday to explore, to play, and to see what happens. We're mad scientists here on Mondays. Hey, Rajani, how are you? The rain. You know what? Last night, you guys, I went to bed about midnight, and there was the weirdest thunder. I don't think I've ever heard thunder like that. It started off like clapping really close to the house. I don't know. It was just really weird. But yes, we had rain last night. I'm the professor. You guys are the rats. I don't know about that, Chris. So I have a lot to go over today. So I'm going to jump right in. Um, if you are new, I did wanted to say we meet here every Monday for Mad Scientist Monday. So what does that even mean? I have a stick of a can with sticks with prompts in them, and I have to pull them randomly to decide what I'm going to do every Monday. And I honestly don't know what I'm going to pull until I actually pull them. And I've made it even we'll say more exciting because any sticks that I've pulled out in the past, I leave out. So there's no duplication, right? So these are the sticks from the last 2 weeks and they are still pulled out. They're not in the can. So that ensures that I'm going to be pulling like brand new prompts out of my can. If you would like to play along with me, you can sign up to receive your own game. This is one of the pages, just so you guys can kind of see. At the top, there is either a product or a process. So paint, DIY, stencil, stamps, collage, and then there are individual prompts at the bottom. So on your stick, you would put the top part on the top and then one of the prompts on the bottom. So you would have 4 stick, right, for each process or product, and you can put it in a can so you can draw it out randomly. So that's the game. If you would like, let me see if I can find, if you would like a copy of the game, I want to say Oh my goodness. I think it's hashtag experiments if you're on Facebook in order to get the game. And if you are on YouTube, you can use this QR code so that you can grab your copy of the game so that you can either play along with me or you can use it on your own time. And it's a really good way to challenge yourself to step outside of your normal things that you do. And the whole purpose of all of this is just to help us all grow creatively. And I'm trying to figure out where to start. I wanted to be able to, let me switch my cameras because y'all don't want to see me. Y'all want to see what I'm doing. I wanted to be able to, there we go. I have a couple of people here from my membership, so they'll probably remember last year I built this whole system out. And what I wanted to do was to record a bunch of videos and have and be able to send like a little video tutorial on something that you could do in like 15 or 20 minutes and then also have a prompt to go with that. But my bandwidth just did not allow me to be able to do the videos. So it's been something that's been kind of sitting, but I thought we're sitting here and we're meeting every Monday. So why not have this be a part of our process? And so I will be sending out, if you guys are interested, you guys let me know if you would be interested in this. It is kind of like it's not really a prompt. It's just something for us to think about when we're working in our journal. So this one says, what layer have you been trying to skip? And I did a whole bunch of them. And I chose this one on purpose because this is so me right now. I am in my like representational art journey. And I have visions in my mind of what I want to create, but I don't have the skill set yet. And so sometimes I get frustrated. I just want to skip all the stuff and just get to the part where I can paint what I want. Which is not realistic, right? So the question is, what layer have you been trying to skip? The messy middle, the learning curve, the uncertainty, right? That's a huge part, the vulnerability. And then what would happen if you allowed it to be part of the process instead of evidence that you're failing? Because I think that we have a habit of sometimes when we're trying something new, looking for evidence, right? That it's not for us, or looking for evidence that we're not good at this thing, or that it's going to be too hard for us to learn. But what if, not doing something well is not evidence that it's not for you or that you're failing, but what if it's just part of the process, right? So I just want to challenge us to, as much as it is, and I am like totally with you guys, it's, delightful to think about skipping a layer or skipping a part of the learning. The reality is that every single messy, uncomfortable layer leads us to the next place. And so that's going to be the theme of our conversation today as we work through our project. And I pulled out a bunch of stuff, but I really don't know what I'm going to be doing. So let's pull out my sticks first, and then we'll go over this year's prepping prompt, our prepping lesson, or this week's prepping lesson. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It is so hot in here, you guys. I may have to turn the air on in a few minutes. Okay, so the first one, let me make sure I got 4 different ones. I have, those are different. One's decoupage, one collage. So the first one is decoupage. It says pair decoupage with a stencil. So I'll have to pair decoupage with a stencil. A DIY stamp. Oh man, that's a hard one. Okay, I'll have to make a DIY stamp out of something. I don't think I have any of my oh wow, I'm gonna have to get really creative with that one because I don't think I have any of my foam out here. Okay, I'll figure out something. I have to use white paint. Oh, that's boring, but okay. And then collage, I have to use a vintage paper. Do I have vintage paper out here? I mean, I'm sure I do, but I don't know where it is. But I'll find something. So I have to make a stamp. See, so I kept drawing the same sticks. And so I told myself I was going to start pulling out the ones I kept pulling. so that I'd be forced to pull out new ones, because this really is about challenging myself to step outside of my normal process, um, and try something different, because that's the only way that we learn. Um, I love seeing you guys chat amongst yourself, by the way. I love it so much. So these are our challenges. Let's prep my page for the day, and then we'll circle back and figure out how I'm going to make a stamp, and then I'll have to find a vintage paper. So I may have to step away from the camera for a few minutes, but it'll be okay. So I have my Roycycled Journal here that we're going to be working in today. Last week's page, what did we do last week? Oh, this was last week's page. And I even forgot what all the prompts were for last week, but I do remember that we used heavy body gel to prep our page last week. And I did a whole lot of misting and drippiness, and you guys will see that the paper held up wonderfully, because the gel medium really does a good job of sealing the paper fibers like completely, to where you're just completing, you're actually creating a whole new surface. I'm debating on if I should just create on this side. I always create on the right side of my journal. Do you guys do that? I find myself creating on the same side of my journal like every single time. If we go through here, you guys will see that everything is on the right side. So I think what I'm going to do, let me wax this really quickly, because I heard a little stickiness there. I don't like that. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to work on the left side of that other page that we prepped last week, because I can actually do this week's prep on top of the gel medium, and it'll be fine. So let me, where are my scissors? I'm going to wax this page really quickly. I just want to make sure that it's not going to stick to my other page. And so this is a really good tip. If you are working on your journal and you want to make sure that your pages don't stick together, hey Dee, then you can use some clear wax. I'm just using DIY, but you can use any of the waxes. It doesn't matter. And I'm just going to do a really thin coat of wax over this. And this is going to stop my pages from sticking together. Look at, you can tell where I had my clamp last week, because I have that blank mark right there. Oh my goodness. And you guys, I have been looking and looking. I started a journal with you guys, and I was looking for it. I was working on my flat lay for my magazine spread, and I couldn't even find it. And of course, I found it this weekend when I wasn't even looking for it. Sorry. My little rag is dropping lint all over my thing. That's no bueno. Okay. So just a super thin coat over all of that. Especially if you're using acrylic, it can stay tacky for a long time. And so I don't have any thick layers here, so I don't think I would have had any problems, but I felt like I heard something trying to stick. So I'll just do that, and then I don't have to worry about it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So I'm going to work on the left side of this page, because I never work on the left side. So I'm going to do that today. This is, you guys have heard me talk about my mats that I use for everything. This is a piece I'm going to be using for my palette today. And I cut this one, and I did about 1/2 inch larger on each side so that it could fit into my journal. And then that way, if I get medium that comes off of the edge of my page, let me scoot you guys up just a little bit. I think we're a little too tight. So this way, and if I get something that goes off the edge of my page, it won't end up on a page behind, right? Because if I get it on there, then I risk my pages sticking together, which isn't a huge deal. You can usually unstick them, but I really don't want to put product on those pages if I'm not working on those pages. So I'm going to put this in place to protect my pages that are behind it. And then I'm going to clamp this open so that I can work without having to fight anything. Maybe. I'm at the beginning, so there we go. so now I'm all set to work, right? I feel like it looks really busy on my, let me spend a few minutes picking up. My challenge is, like, we're working on texture inside of our membership. So I have texture tools out here. My challenge is I don't know what I'm going to be doing. And so I have everything pulled out. So that's another reason why it looks like I have so much stuff on my table, because I do. Okay. I wanted to talk about preparation, right? We've done 2 different lessons about how to prep your journal pages. And the first one we did was clear gesso. And then the second one we did was the heavy body gel. See how shiny that page is? It's completely sealed, right? And then today I want to talk about opaque gesso. And this is 5 acrylic mediums to prep your journal pages. If you have a journal, you should have received an email with this already. If you haven't, if you're on Facebook, you can put hashtag medium and you'll get a message where you'll receive this. And I don't have a QR code for this. Hey, Lauren, I'm glad you're here. So, prep and protect, opaque gesso. So the gesso primes your surface and creates a workable base for your project. Sometimes when you're working with different surfaces, they can be smooth. And if you're trying to go over with, say, a colored pencil, you know, it's too smooth and your pencil doesn't really deposit on there, or your paint like beads up, right? Because the surface is a little too smooth. And so the gesso acts as a primer to help your paint lay down really well. It adds a slight tooth to your surface, allowing the paint to adhere better than on a slick surface. And it can be applied in thick layers or mixed with medium to create texture. You can also tint it if you want to. So, do I even have? I do. And so I'm going to be using, and then you have options of different kinds of primers you can use. If you're someone who is like a crafter and you don't have a need for like huge containers, then Pin Art does have a primer. It's called Primer Paste that you can use. Today I'm going to be using Liquitex's acrylic medium, and this is just white. And there's different ways you can lay down your gesso. You don't have to like blot out everything. I love having these pages of ephemera because I feel like my first layer of my work is like done, right? So now all I have to come in and bring additional interest. And so rather than going in with a ton of my primer, I am just going to come in with my brayer and I'm going to roll it on there really like imperfectly so that I can still see what's underneath peeking through. And I'm going over really light with my brayer first so I can get a sense of how much it's depositing. And all I want to do is to create a visual space. For me, for today, my purpose is to create a visual space so that when I start building out my project today, that it won't be competing with the background. So I want the background to be there as a layer, but I don't want to have to compete with it in the project that we're going to do today. And so this is one of my favorite ways to apply my primer. Once we get past all of our quick lessons about how to prep your pages, we're going to talk about ways to apply paint because there are so many ways than just using a paintbrush. So you can see that even though I've gone in, I primed my page, you can still very much see what's underneath, right? And so I'm starting to build my layers. And I talked about kind of our focus today is what layer have you been trying to skip? You know, the messy middle, the learning curve, the uncertainty, the vulnerability. What would happen if you allowed it to be part of the process instead of evidence that you're failing? So this is kind of my meditation, not meditation. I gotta think of a word for it. This is like what I'm thinking about today as I create in my journal is what layers am I trying to skip? I have priors, y'all. I be trying to skip stuff. But I found this in my studio because I am a mess, y'all. I will grab anything and make it a palette. Like I do not care. If it works in that moment, I will use it. Hey, Lauren. Um, this is a piece that I found in my studio. And I was thinking this part in particular, like this piece right here, like how beautiful is that, right? And it's just layers and layers of paint that made that. And so you see this side, specifically sometimes when we see a piece of art or we see a creation that someone's made, we look at it and we're like, oh my gosh, how beautiful that is. But look at all the layers that had to go down in order to create this final beautiful finish or this final beautiful layer. And so I think for a lot of us, this is the scary part, right? Because you're laying down your layers and they don't quite make sense. And you're questioning your ability or you're questioning your choices. When if you just keep going, you'll get to something fabulous, right? So, and I think that's true, not just with our artwork, but in our life too. So if you're starting something new and it feels scary, it feels uncertain, you feel like you're trying to overcome a huge learning curve, just keep pushing, just keep going, because everything that you do, even the things that are imperfect or that are outside of your intention, are going to become part of the learning of the thing that you're trying to get to. And more often than not, I feel like the mistakes that we make becomes part of our artistic voices finally, in the end. So I need to find some vintage paper and something to make a stamp with. So the stamp, I think I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to use, technically, I'm going to use this. Like this, I can use this stick right here and I can make some marks on my paper and that's a stamp. I mean, I'm not cheating, but I'm not going to make a stamp. I don't think we have time for me to look for foam to make a stamp. So a stamp could be anything, right? It doesn't have to be an actual stamp. It can be anything that will create a shape. And actually, I'm glad I didn't try to make like a formal stamp because this is kind of more fun. Have you guys ever picked up something? Because look, there hasn't been a brush on this in forever, but I've used it like this several times. And so now it's just in my toolkit. I love when we create our own kind of art supplies, because then you have a unique mark in your work that other people won't have. Skipping layers is like trying to use a map with pieces missing, right? Hard to end up in the right place. Exactly. So this is my stamp for today, you guys. I'm going to use it again later too. But like I could have used a number of things that I have on my desk. I do want to play a little bit just because I have like this random little scraper that I've also used for a palette. I'm a mess, y'all. But like even this, if I dip it, right, I can use it. Somebody asked me about mark making last week, and I feel like the art world, they make it seem like such a formal process, but like mark making is literally making marks, whatever that looks like for you and whatever tool you're using. And if you're someone who like loves the outdoors, maybe you love your garden, you can bring some sticks in from your garden and you can use those to make marks. That'll be fun. Or even like leaves or maybe some of your flowers. I think I'm going to go across this. But like, you guys got me started now. And so technically, I've made this into a stamp, right? Because I'm stamping it out on my page. And so I just want to encourage you and challenge you to look around your space and look for things that you could use as stamps. Oh, that actually came out kind of cool, right? That you can use for stamps on your projects that isn't technically a stamp. I do have to look for, although I probably have some vintage paper here. Maybe. I mean, I know I have some in my shop. I just don't know where. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Chat amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. So I do have some vintage pages here in my shop because inside of our membership a few months ago, we went over like a process to be able to recover really old documents. When I found these, they were super brittle. And I mean, when I say super brittle, I mean super brittle. Like I could not even, I think, is this one still? Nope, this one's treated. And so we went over different ways to treat the paper to get different results. And so I have these here in my shop. But I was trying to see if I had any ones that hadn't been treated, but I do not. These have all been treated, which is fine. So we'll use one of these. Let's see. Don't want to use a jackrabbit. That one feels thicker. We use a different. Oh, I'm going to use the crow. That's what I'll use. I think that'll be cool. I'm going to use the crow. I like him a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut him out. And then we'll decide which parts we're going to use later. Is it a raven? Okay, my bad. I'm going to cut out the raven. Huh. That is weird. Oh, Fleet, you are such a sweetheart, Fleet. What would we do without you? I do love ravens or crows. I get them mixed up. And I know they're way different because their beaks are way different, but I just get confused on who has the big old beak and who has the smaller one. So I'm going to just cut them out. And these, I mean, sadly enough, these are actually for target practice, but I had an opportunity to pick the shop of my old shop teacher. And I found a bunch of these. They were all scrunched up in a can. And the building that they were in hadn't been like weatherproof in years. So you guys can imagine how this paper was when we started. It was really brittly. Do I care? I don't want to cut out I'm not going to cut out all those feet because I don't know if I'm going to use them. And that's going to be a lot of time for a maybe. This extra paper is bothering me, so I'm going to get rid of it. And I'm just going to focus on his body for now because I have a feeling his feet are not going to end up being used anyways. And I'm going to have to really think about what I'm going to do now. So I think painting white, I've done that. Like, I think that's, we said paint with white paint. I think we can check that one off, right? And then my DIY stamp, we're going to go ahead and check that one off, but I'll probably return to it just because I'm in the mode now. So I'm going to be looking around my desk for more opportunities. This paper is still kind of brittly. You guys can see how it's still brittle even after we treated it. So just imagine what it was like before we started. Okay. So I have my raven here, and I'm probably going to end up using, well, maybe the feet will make it. Oh, man. I may just, let me just buckle down and do it. I am not a fiddly person. It's one of the things I'm struggling with, like in my representational art. Like right now, my painting is, I'm supposed to be using my really small brushes and going in and really like refining, but like, I don't want to. I'm a mess. I'm going to, but the refining step is just not my favorite. It is not. And even like the butterflies. And I even painted a butterfly inside the membership. They were nice enough to let me do that on one of our lives to try to prepare myself mentally and emotionally for having to do it on canvas. But the butterfly I chose for my piece is way different than the one I painted. And yes, I'm whining. Okay. So we have our, oh wow, he almost fits on there. That's actually pretty good. So we have him on there. Oh wow. So vintage paper. So my last one is I have to pair my decoupage paper with a stencil. And I'm thinking, oh, I wonder if I have my close stencil out here. Let me see. I don't know. We could make him like a jackalope. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. We won't do that. It'll be a ravenalope. If you are new and you're wondering why I do not have my stuff together, A, I'm a hot mess and I don't generally, I'm not like a perfect organizer anyways. And B, because I don't know what I'm going to do until I get here with you guys today. And so because I don't know what I'm going to do, I don't know what supplies to have about. So as we work through this together, I am literally figuring out what I'm going to do, which means I have to figure out what supplies I'm going to use as well. So I actually found the 2 stencils I am considering. Marvelous, darling. So this is the Roycycled frame stencil, and I could use this on a piece of paper and make a frame, but it's big. I need to make, and I'm going to make some stencils that are sized like more adequately to use with our journals. I'm working on it. The ladies who came to the retreat got to see one of my prototypes for my new stencils that I'm working on. So I could do that, and I could just have like his head inside of the stencil. And I mean, having the stencil go off edge wouldn't be awful, but I don't know. And we could just have him like inside the frame. We could do that. Or, oh man, oh, these were the ones that didn't. Let me see. I could put them inside of a cloche, which might be cooler. I think I'm going to go with the cloche. Because if the cloche goes off edge, I think it'll still look good. But I have to use my stencil with some recycled decoupage paper. So what I mean by that is that I basically need to use my stencil as a shape for my decoupage paper. So now I want to figure out what paper that I want to use with my bird. Do you guys have any ideas? Exactly. Karen says, I'm not a mess. I just have creative ideas laying around everywhere. I love that. Oh, Chris, girl, I have not even had time to be online really this morning. But I will go take a look though. Did I scan it before I cut it? No, I did not, Karen. I have some other ones though. It's fine. I bought like the whole can. So what I made with you guys was just like a few of them. I'm going to go through my comments to make sure no one had questions before I move on to the next part. Maybe. Hey, Dorothy, how are you this morning? Hey, Brenda, how are you? I didn't see you pop on. Okay. I think I got I don't see any questions. You guys do me a favor because my mind, so I will just be honest with you guys on the mixed media or the Mad Scientist Mondays. I am very much in my right brain, right? Because I'm like working creatively, trying to figure things out. So paying attention is not like super, I don't know. I'm not, help me out. And if you have a question, put a bunch of question marks. The end paper, I know that's what I was thinking. The end paper might be one. I just don't know if I have a big enough piece here. And the end paper might be darker than I want to stand out against my Raven. I was thinking maybe the warm topography or the classical too. It's interesting, right? Because I have this background that's really light, and then I have him that's really dark. But then I have like these midtones around here, and this is going to extend past those midtones. And so I'm trying to think, like maybe I should just do a different color altogether, right? Like not something neutral, but something that has color so it can stand out against everything that's already on the page, is what I'm thinking. I just have to find something. You guys should see my Doom file. It is so ridiculous. I wish I had like my teal. Oh. This is not quite what I was thinking. The teal texture would be nice, but maybe this would work. Let's see, because I don't need all of it. I just need a piece. Like if I could just, this is why I wanted the teal texture. Because I like if I could just do something like this, right? Now this stands out against everything. Or decisions. Oh, good, Brenda. I know. And you guys, I haven't posted anything for Memorial Day yet because I knew I would be live. And so I'm going to wait until afterwards to post. I always think about my dad, my uncle, and I know Memorial Day is for fallen soldiers, and you know, we remember them and we remember their sacrifice, absolutely. But I think about how many soldiers who came home from Vietnam, um, even you know, most recent wars, and the people that they were right before they went and experienced the just that I can't even imagine. I can't think of a word of what it would be like to experience that. The person that they were before they left died, probably. That was certainly the case in our family, with my uncle and my dad, who unfortunately saw active duty. I mean, saw the front lines, you know. Let's see. I'm going to go and just do the blue. We'll do the blue, and then we'll see what happens. So there are two ways I can approach this. I can use a beauty blender if I had one and some ink, and I could go around and then I would know exactly where to cut. But I do not see a beauty blender here, so I'm just going to use a pen and go around the edge of my stencil because I'm going to use it again. But this is just literally to cut the paper. Is that even writing? It's not. Hey, Kimberly, how are you? I've been watching you painting flowers. They're beautiful. And I'm just going around the outside of the stencil, and I don't need to like do the whole stencil. I just need to do the edge the furthest out because that's where I'm going to be cutting. I'm going to go ahead and do this too because I'm not sure which one I'm going to cut. And I do have a smaller cloche, but it won't be big enough for the raven. So I feel like I have to use this one. And so this is the last of my sticks, which is use the Roycycled decoupage paper in conjunction with a Roycycled stencil. So I'm going to cut this out. I always like to cut away the excess paper because I feel like I'm less likely to like make a mistake. And it's just easier because then I can turn the paper instead of trying to turn my hand, if that makes sense. If I have this big piece of paper, then I'm here with my scissors trying to go around the paper, right? But once I make it small enough for me to handle, now I can leave my hand in the same place and I can move my paper, which is a lot easier. And I'm not using my fussy cutting scissors because this really isn't like really fussy cutting. It's pretty simple. And ironically, my hands are doing pretty good today, even though it rained here last night. It barely looks like it rained, but it did. I can barely see that line. Oh, Lord. And I think I'm going to put the cloche behind the raven just as background because I don't think it's going to work to try to put him in the cloche necessarily. And then I have exhibition there, which I kind of like that. I have the other line here. Let's see. Let's see what happens. And I don't think I want the whole cloche because I don't want to cover up my page. And then we can just put him over the top, right? I don't know. Do I like that? Okay, we're going to do it. I'm going to bite the bullet and then we're going to deal with it because we're talking about layers today, right? And pushing through even when the layer that you're working on doesn't look the way you think it should. Because I don't know what I'm doing anyways, and we don't know what the final look is going to be like. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim this. I have creases almost where I want to lay it anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut them and align it on my page like this. And I have to say, working on the left side of my journal is throwing me off a little bit. I know that sounds crazy, but I always work on the right side. So let's go ahead and get this adhered so I can just make the commitment. And then we'll move forward from there. So I'm going to mist my paper. I love the misting method for decoupage because it really does allow the your fibers in your paper to expand in advance so that when your paper comes into contact with your decoupage medium, it doesn't respond. And so you don't get wrinkles. Oh, Flea, girl, I had to wash brushes this morning just to come on here today. 2 hours later. Why do we do that to ourselves? Why, Flea? Why? And I am using Pinch Arts Decoupage Varnish and Glue today. I may have put a little bit more on there than I needed, but it's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. And you guys see what I mean? I don't have to worry about getting product on the page underneath because I have this piece here. Hey, Kelly, how are you? I'll line up the sides and then I will get the rest. I would rather have to trim my paper than to have like um, a little bit of paper than to have the edge of the book showing. And so as I lay this down, you guys, I'm pushing out any bubbles before I adhere it. Because I did have a big old bubble under there. And I'm going to go over the whole page with the medium. We talked about it last time. I like to go over the entire surface so that my sheen of my pages stays the same. And that's one way to keep it from looking like you've just stuck something on the page. It adds to the cohesion, right? If everything has the same sheen. I'm going to dry this before we move forward because I want to go back over this with my stencil so that I can add those details back in. Aw, you guys are way too nice to me. One Marvel is asking what can be used for gift wrapping paper. Girl, you can use anything for gift wrapping paper. I have a friend of mine, her favorite thing to use are the funny pages to wrap gifts. And so we know when we're going to get gifts from her that it's going to be the newspaper and the funny pages in the news. Do they still do the funny pages in the newspaper? Whatever paper she gets, they still do them. So I'm going to dry this because I want to go back over this with my stencil. I wish I had a beauty blender, but I think that I at least have a makeup sponge somewhere. Or I just use my brush. It'll be a little bit of an overkill because it's huge, but it's fine. I have my Klingon brush that I taped together to make like a stencil brush because I was doing a really big stencil. So I may have to use that, but it'll be fine. I do love using beauty blenders for my stencils though. Hey Connie, how are you? So, Connie, I'm going to talk about you for just a second, okay? You guys know how we were talking about mark making earlier and how if when you like figure out marks that you love and you use them over and over and over again in your artwork, it becomes part of your voice. Oh, that's Connie Burkham. Sorry, that's the wrong Connie. I was thinking about Connie from the Painting Photographer last night. How if I see something, a piece of art from Connie, like I know it's hers because she always does like these very specific squiggly marks around the edges of her artwork. Um, and so not to say that I would deliberately like find a mark. I think it happens naturally. I think you just find yourself using um, the same marks over and over again, and it just becomes part of your signature, right? Or your artistic voice. Um, I'm sorry, what glue? Mod Podge? I'm actually using Pint Arts decoupage varnish and glue is what I'm using today. But it depends. You can use whatever you have on your workbench, right? If you're someone who has like chalk paint, then you can use your water-based sealers. If you're someone who is crafty and I mean like doing paper crafts and you're more likely to have Mod Podge, you can use Mod Podge. Mod Podge is a little tacky, so to add a little bit of water to it with the tissue paper. If you are someone who has a lot of acrylic products, maybe you have mostly like acrylic paints, you probably have an acrylic medium, right? And as long as it's transparent, you can use that to both adhere and to seal your paper. Just make sure that it's transparent And I would not use gesso though. The stuff in the gesso really does interfere with the adhesion. So you really want it to be like a matte medium or a gloss medium to use to decoupage. Oh, what glue for the gift wrapping paper? Oh, I don't know. So for me, if I'm gift wrapping something, I don't want to glue it. Are you asking me what glue you would use to decoupage gift wrapping paper? You could use all the same products. It would be all the same. Gift wrapping paper is pretty lightweight, so you would be okay to use those. If you find that like a sealer or a matte medium is too fluid for wrapping paper, then you can try something like Pin Art's varnishing glue. It has a little bit more body to it. Mod Podge is fine. It's just so freaking tacky. Or like a heavy body gel too would work good with that. Okay, so we have our cloche on there, and now I'm going to go back over this with some paint. I got to figure out, I think I want to use black paint, oddly enough, on some of it. And then let me find, I want to use a makeup sponge. And I know I have like a whole pack of makeup sponges, but where are they? That is the question. And I found a beauty blender, but it looks like, look, it looks like I used ink on it and I didn't clean it. So it's kind of scratchy. So I don't know. We're going to try it and see what happens. The top of it isn't scratchy. So we'll try that. Do I want to use black though? Let me make some decisions really quickly. So the marks on my stencil are really about reflections, right? So they're about the reflection that would be off of the glass. How did I do that? I must have moved my stencil. It's okay. About the reflection on the glass. And so usually I'm going to use a light color. I'm saying that out loud. So I'm just going to use white because it's already blue. And this really should be on the outside of the paper, but I'm putting it on the paper just because the stencil's already taking up so much of my page. So that's why my little chingadera on top isn't lining up. When I'm stenciling, I always like to pat first and offload as much paint as possible and then swirl. Because if you start swirling too early, you can push paint under your stencil. Okay. Oh, I don't like it. How did I get that far off? That is so weird. I should have known when this was so far off that I was way off. I'm going to leave it. We're going to leave it, and then I'm going to go around with a piece of, because I kind of wanted it to be dark. So now I get the best of both worlds. I get to have my grungy edge, and I still get to have my reflection. And I didn't do that on purpose. That was totally a mistake. But we're gonna because y'all know I love a good halo. So now I get to have my dark edge and my reflection. I love the way charcoal looks, but it moves really fast, especially this. It's vine charcoal. And so I'm going to cheat and I'm going to put my finger in some of this decoupage medium and I'm just going to go around and smear it. And the medium is going to set the charcoal. And oddly enough, vine charcoal is not the darkest. It's actually the lightest of the charcoals. The compressed charcoals get a lot darker. Okay. I have to let that dry before I can add more. Okay. So now my stencil has some reflection and we can add my guy. He looks weird like that. I'm gonna have to take the feet off because the feet are informing like the position of his head. Oh, should we just completely ignore and just lay it over like that? That looks weird. I'm feeling confined by this cloche now. I should have chose something different. But it's too late. We'll go ahead and put our guy in here. Old paper is so brittle, which in this case works in our favor. Okay, we're gonna add him in there, and then I don't know, I feel like I need to do something else. I was trying to keep that 7 on here, but that puts him too close to the glass. We'll see. And I'm not gonna miss this one because I know that we've treated this paper already and it's already so brittle. I'm afraid if I try to mist it that I may actually cause more problems for myself. So we're gonna see what happens. And you guys know what I should have done, but we'll see what happens. This is pretty thick. This has a lot of body. I do like the Pen Art Decoupage Varnishing Glue because it has more body than, say, a clear coat, which is like in this instance, I'm really loving. But it's not tacky the way that Mod Podge is, if that makes any sense. Oh, I know. Like he's standing in front of it and not, I mean, he's not in it, but he just looked weird when he was going over it. I don't know. We'll see. I may end up making something that I don't love, which actually is fine too, right? I'm trying to tell myself. So, you guys, we creatives, especially if we haven't created in a long time, or if there's something that we need to do, I almost feel like we do it to ourselves on purpose, like subconsciously. We will plan like a huge project, right? So instead of, if you haven't done something for a while, instead of starting off small, we'll start off with like a humongous project. And then, of course, halfway through, you're more likely to get discouraged. So I was thinking to myself, because I've been doing these full on paintings, which you guys, painting my portraits has challenged me in ways that I never ever imagined. I mean, like mentally and emotionally, not even like, you know, as far as the painting is concerned. It's just, you really have to push yourself past um, your own perceived limits in order to be able to do it. It's crazy town. Anyways, I digress. So I told myself I was going to just start doing some small paintings, some that I can like start and finish really quickly in order to get the practice that I need to get better instead of always trying to do like a huge painting. Hey, Jane, how are you? So I don't know that I'm going to love this, but we're going to see what happens. You know what, Karen? I probably could have ran them through the copier and made them smaller, but I'm supposed to be using the old paper though. That was one of the challenges, remember? You remember? This little arrow thing is kind of a pine. It's like a shadow. Yeah, Jane. Hey, Lisa. I see all your suggestions now. It's too late. No, I'm just kidding. Now you guys tell me. No, you were telling me. It's my fault. Absolutely. Okay. So I've done all the challenge. Now I have to figure out what I want to do because it's because I was talking to you guys about layers and now I'm challenging myself with layers. I'm going to trim. Okay. Let's see. I kind of want to go back to the stamp idea. Let's play with that. What do I have here that would make an interesting stamp? I'm trying to look at something that you guys might have in your stash. This pen has like it goes in the middle right there, so that would make an interesting shape. Let's see. So if you're coming on late, one of our challenges was a DIY stamp, and so we were talking about what we could use. Like you could use anything. It's not quite what I thought it was going to do, but it's not horrible. I kind of want to bring in some. Oh, I can too. So not yesterday. Last week when we were together, we talked about our heavy body gel and how it seals the pages so that you can do like really drippy stuff. And so I had done this page like the earlier in the day and made sure it was completely dry. So we actually did our project on this one, but I used this page to demonstrate how to apply the gel. And so I'm thinking that I'm going to dry all this really quickly and then I'm going to add some drips. I think that would be fun on this project. Let's do that. And because it's sealed with the heavy body gel, I can do it without having to worry about my pages absorbing too much moisture. Oh, like turning the page open, like if there was a flap here, Lisa, that would be cool. So my Raven is my vintage paper. My challenges were, let me look, forgot already. Um, DIY stamp, which we did with our, these lines here we made with this. And then we used my janky mark maker that I made with the paintbrush. The head's fallen off. And then, so that was our DIY stamp so far. And then this one. And we did, we paired the decoupage paper with the stencil. So we used the, what's the name of that paper? Exhibition. I should know the names of my own papers, but there's a lot of them. So I do not. So the paper that I use is called Industrial Exhibition. And it actually has like a lot of really fun grunge on that paper for the cloche. And we use the Roycycled cloche stencil. I have to use vintage paper. So we use, this is some old, let me see. I have some other sheets here. I don't know what I did with them. I did not move. Anyways, target practice sheet. So we cut this Raven out of that. And then white paint, which we have plenty of white paint, and then vintage paper. So those are my challenges for today. So I've done all the challenges. So now it's just a matter of what I want to do. And I think I want to add some warmth to this. Everything is kind of cool. Do I want to play with charcoal? This has become one of my favorite stencils. I'm thinking, let's do some burnt umber drippies on here. Since we're making it kind of spooky, let's just lean into the spookiness. Let me make sure all my pages are protected though before I start. So I'm gonna mist everything. I should probably, let me go over everything. I'm gonna rest. Just give me a second. Let me think about things. Hey, Tammy. Girl, I know, but I'm supposed to remember them, see how I named them. And Tammy, I haven't forgotten about you either. We need to get together so we can do our interview and I can get you on the cover of my page. I just scheduled too many things at one time. I'm going to seal this really quickly and then we'll move forward. Because I think if I try to do what I want to do now, my paper is going to pucker. And we don't want any puckered paper. I found a box of new brushes like randomly. I'm so happy. Even though I still had to wash brushes, but there is something about cracking a new brush that just brings me joy. I think I got carried away again. Oh, Lord. I got to a chamber meeting last week and I had paint. Oh, no, I went to the radio station to interview with the chamber, but I did go to the chamber afterwards and I had white paint on my arm, like my forearm right here. I was laughing. I am a weird painter. I'll go into my studio and lay down some strokes of paint and then I'll leave. And then I'll come back and lay down some paint and then I'll leave. It's crazy. I could get so much done if I would just stand there and paint, but it is just not how I function, I guess. I'm going to dry this really good And then we're going to put some drippies. I'm using some acrylic ink. Puckered paper picks pickled paint. 3 times fast. Oh no. I already know. Susie, what was the other one? Susie found seashells by the seashore. So one thing that's happening with me internally is the exact thing that we talked about earlier, is that I've made this layer. And sometimes when we are creating, we get married to a piece within the process. Even though it feels unfinished to us, we're like married to that specific result. But I'm going to push myself through and keep layering because I do think that we can get somewhere really cool with this. But it's not going to happen if I stop right now in this layer, right? Oh, yeah. I remember I used to have furniture in the house, right? And I'd walk by a piece of furniture that I was working on. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to change clothes because I'm just going to put a little bit of paint right here. Yeah, right. Never happens. Exactly. Jane, earlier today we were talking about this piece right here and how cool it looks on this side, right? Like you have the white, but you have all those cool, interesting things that go on underneath it. But to get to this, like all of this had to happen, right? And so it's the magic really does happen in the layers, because if this was just plain white, it just wouldn't be as interesting as it is with all the little colors peeking through. I still want to do drippy paint on the legs of a piano bench. Ooh, that would be pretty. Suggestions for... Oh, really, Flea? They used to make us say them for public speaking, like as exercises too. Now, I am going to say that what I'm about to do is not the best case scenario. Usually, if I were sealing something back so I could go over with a lot of moisture, I would want to let it sit for like at least a day so that the whatever I'm using is not just dry, but that it's actually set, right? So, but we're gonna go over it. It's gonna be fine. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I think it's fine. It still feels kind of tacky, so I'm gonna continue drying to try to get it as close to where I want to be as possible. Products to use so it's effective rather than messy. You know what, Lisa? I think that for me, when I used to do drippy paints on furniture, it still had to be a little bit messy if I wanted my drips to look real. Like if you try to put them yourself, they end up looking more contrived. Um, but if you use a fluid, like if you paint it first and then you use either a fluid acrylic or an acrylic ink and then misted it so that it would drip easier and faster, that would be cool. And it's going to be, if you use an ink, it's going to be more transparent, which is going to give you opportunities to be able to layer it. I need to tack down the bottom of my cloche. Ooh, it's hot. It's hot in the hot tub. What colors were you thinking, Lisa? Okay. So I think that's dry enough. I really focused on this area where I'm going to put the drips. This is still kind of tacky, but I think we're going to be okay. I am going to mist my page first. It's going to make the product move easier. And then I'm just going to put some up here at the top of my page. That's how I feel when I do this. And then like, because my paper is already wet, look, it's already moving. It's going to move really easily down the page, and I can get it to move even faster. I'm trying to keep where you guys can see it if I missed it a little bit. And the thing about using fluid acrylics or inks is that they're fluid. And so you're going to be more than likely to be able to maintain strong pigment all the way down than with paint, where you have to like dilute it quite a bit. Know what I mean? I'm going to put some water under that so it can run. But I want it to run the way it wants to, not the way I want it to do. I don't know. I'm having mixed emotions about this spread, you guys. I'm going to keep going. And then when you're making drips, like if you end up with something that you love, like stop it from dripping and dry it right away. And then you can go back in and add more. But if you keep adding more before you like stop it, it's just going to keep moving away from what you want. I hope that makes sense. And you know what? One of the things I pulled out today was Rust Effects by Pentart. I have Rust Effects, and I also have Patina Effect. What do you guys think? Which one should we play with? What time is it? It's 11:20. Oh, the rock guitar paper. I love that paper. I just reached out to Melanie last week to see how she was doing. So let me think, Lisa. Like I would honestly I would have to see what you're wanting to do. It would be easiest to me to do your legs. Maybe a neutral color. And then that way you could layer on a bunch of drips and get a really cool effect. And you can buy this ink in any color. So you could buy it in the color to match the paper if you want it. What if I made him rusty? I think that would make me feel better. Because I have to be honest, I'm not happy with the spread right now. But I'm going to keep going. Let's make him rusty. So this is Pentart's Rust Effects, and it's a set of paints. So it has all the colors that you need in here in order to create like a faux rust finish. And I haven't used it yet, so let's see what happens. But rather than me having to pull out all my jars of paint, I have everything right here. Maybe you got to be smarter than the container to get it open, apparently. There's white in here. Interesting. I guess if I'm going to do, oh, that's 3D powder. Oh, so you make a physical texture. Very interesting. Okay, let me see. Okay, so I apply the paint first and then the 3D powder. See, now I'm excited again. I don't even know if it's going to work, but I'm going to get to do something new. This poor brush. It used to be a really nice flat brush, but now it's all janky, but it is my favorite brush when I'm making texture on small pieces. Or even if I'm like blending something out, I love my janky paintbrush. Let's start off with, this is like it looks like a gray almost. It's not a black. It's really dark though. And I don't want all of him to be rusty, but just some of him. I'm gonna have to move quickly because I gotta put that powder on top of wet paint. I want to keep his line so that we're clear about his beak. And each time I add a color, I add a little bit less than the previous color. Is generally how I do it when I'm doing this. So that you still have the color underneath that's peeking through. Oh, come on now. I don't have time for this. I'm trying to hurry up before my paint dries. Whoops. And the cool thing about this is you can always go back and add the other colors back in. Like I ended up with way too much orange because it squirted out too fast. So I am just going to go back in with my darker colors again, right over the top of this orange. I know, right? A dove-proof packaging, exactly. I watched this documentary about the illusion of security and how there are so many things that we like have in our everyday life that gives us a sense of security that don't even work. And child-proof packaging is one, by the way. You can just twist it, twist it, twist it, and it'll come off. My colors are kind of mushing together, but I'm going to leave it. I'm going to put the 3D powder on top, and then I'm probably going to go back over the top of everything again. I don't know about this piece, y'all. It's kind of cool. I kind of like it. I'm going to press that into that wet paint, and then I'm going to go back over this. I washed my brush out because all the colors were mixing together on my brush. And I was just kind of moving around one color. And I don't want to dry this yet because I don't want to blow off all of the stuff. We've been talking about layers today and building up like patinas, like a rusty patina or whatever kind of patina you're working on is probably the best example of that, right? Because if you try to get it done in like one layer, it just doesn't have the same dimension that it has if you really take your time and build it up. And you may have to go back and forth a little bit, but all those layers count, even when you cover them up. The rusty afro. So I'm just adding some black to push that red back just a little bit. And then I'll come in with some more yellow. I don't know. Do I want yellow? I don't think I'll come back in with some orange. And then I don't know about you guys, but whenever I'm doing a rusty finish, I always finish with black. I'm going to dry this and then I'm going to come in with the black over it. Or the dark color, I should say. Will be my final color. Let me dry this. There is like a really cool texture on this. I'm curious to see how it holds up on the page. I'm starting to sweat, y'all. I'm gonna have to turn the AC on in a few minutes. Although it's 11:30, so we're almost done. I don't know, y'all. I'm having mixed emotions about this one, which is fine, right? Like, I don't have to like everything that I do, but I'm still putting in reps and I'm still practicing my craft and I'm still experimenting to see what happens. So there's still value, even if I walk away not liking this piece. Because he doesn't look like a raven anymore, does he? He looks like a chick or something. Yeah, when I get finished, Chris, I gotta dry this texture first. And it really is textury. Interesting. Very interesting. So he doesn't look like a raven anymore. He looks furry now. Why'd you guys let me do that? I mean, he's rusty. I just don't know if I like it. Right? So now that I have no attachment to this though, oh man, I wish I had a Posca marker in here. I want to do some stuff. What color is this one? It's black, isn't it? I kind of want a white Posca marker, not a black one. The good thing about getting to a spread that you don't like and that you don't have any like connection to is that you're willing to experiment with it. Right? I do wish I had a white Posca marker. Oh Lord, oh there it is. I was like, what did I do with my palette? I don't know what to do with his eye. I'm gonna leave that. I might come back and paint that eye. I think that might make me feel better. We'll see what happens. Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're doing here on Mad Scientist Monday. It doesn't always turn out, but we learn either way. I wish I had a white Posca. Why don't I have Poscas out here? I mean, I do somewhere. I just don't know where. But I think I'm going to stop with him here. I don't know. I can't think of anything else to do. So this is where we ended. Not my favorite spread, but I don't know. It's okay. And I might come back later and add some more layers and end up liking him too. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Maybe, baby. But that is all I have for today. You made him look like a raven again? Sort of. I know. I made him look like a furry little chick. Maybe it's a baby raven. Are baby ravens furry like chickens when they're little? I'm trying to use up the last of my stuff I have on my spatula. I mean, on my palette. Goodness gracious, Royce, just stop. I cannot stop. I'm gonna put a 7 right here and then I'm gonna be done. But that's pretty much all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me for my Mad Scientist Monday, where we literally never know what's going to happen, right? Which is the joy of it. And hopefully if you're creating with me, you're more happy with your spread than I am with mine. In all honesty, it looks like a cowgirl, a cowbird. I have a cowbird. What's a cowbird? I've never heard that. Yeah, it doesn't look like a raven because ravens are slick. And I added texture to it. I wasn't thinking when I did that. Emo though, it's fine. I got to put a number 7 on here because you guys know that's my favorite. Okay, that's all I have for today. This is all we have for today's madness. Thank you guys so much for joining me for today's Mad Scientist Monday. I hope that in all of that we've done today, there was something that either inspired you, encouraged you, or there's something that you learned in all the madness from us working together today. Um, be sure and join me on Saturday because we will be finishing my bookend or my magazine holder. So we did the books. I do want to do some more work on our leather books, and then we have to finish the rest of the magazine holder. So that'll be on Sunday. So be sure and join us then. But until then, you guys, remember where experimentation goes, creativity follows. You guys have a blessed week, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good day.